All right, well, welcome back to The Good Life. This is a podcast from Christ Fellowship Church here in Mansfield, Texas, where we are trying to help people think clearly, help people to live faithfully, and help people to follow Jesus in the middle of real life here in Mansfield, America. I am Ryan Rives, and I'm joined here with our pastor,
Mr. Plumlee. Excited to be here for round two, man.
Yeah, man. Just a regular old week around here, right? Not a lot
Nothing
going
big.
on, right? Okay, this week is Easter coming up. So what's going on? Tell me about it.
Man, it's like the Super Bowl. If you're working on a church staff or in the church space, this is like building up to the biggest day of the year.
Right.
I just don't want anybody to dunk or pour the Gatorade on me when it's over. Have you all seen those videos or those memes where people doing that? It's ridiculous. Nobody better do that on Sunday. That would be bad.
Benediction, just come up.
I'll be listening for the footsteps. Truth is, it is a big week. In addition to the podcast dropping and things that we're doing on that, we've had our Sunday Fun Day,
Right.
Huge invite day. But two things I'm really excited about this week are, one, our Good Friday service. And guys, this is a cross service where I'm actually going to physically build a wooden cross, 12, 13 foot tall. It's got a 6-7 foot crossbeam on it. I'm going to take time to walk you through the entirety of the scriptures about how the cross, the background of it, the significance of it. We're going to get into what Jesus actually endured. This is not just going to be something powerful for you to experience as a follower of Jesus. This is going to be a huge opportunity to invite people in. This is not your normal service. Like I said, they'll be hammering, they'll be nailing, there'll be me putting together an actual wooden cross in a really powerful time of worship on Friday, Good Friday service. That's April 3rd at 6:30 right here at Christ Fellowship.
Awesome.
The second thing I'm super excited about is 2 services on Easter Sunday.
2 services.
2 services. Let's go. Let's go. We're ready. We have been growing steadily the last year and a half. We've reached capacity in our room, and it's time for us to launch a second service, and we have prayerfully selected Easter Sunday to do that. So we will have worship service at 9:30. We'll have a service at 11, and this is just a great Sunday morning time where we're going to celebrate the resurrection of Jesus. I'm going to be in the series on the love of God and the importance of the love of God, and that Easter Sunday service will be a part of that sermon series, but it's going to be a really powerful time of worship. Friday, celebrating the cross. Sunday morning, celebrating the empty tomb and the resurrection of Jesus. So pumped about that.
So I'm here to ask the questions that we all want to know.
Sure.
So
Sure.
cross service is coming up. I'm curious, how much does this thing weigh?
Well, the cross beam, the horizontal beam I'm going to carry in weighs about 100, 120 pounds.
Okay.
So I will literally be carrying that thing in, going up the steps. I have friends that do this and have done this, and when you watch them do it, it's a lot of huffing and puffing.
Yeah.
It's physically exerting, but it's a really cool visual that's going to give people. So I am not strong enough.
What's the gym routine been like?
Yeah.
These last few weeks,
I've upped
getting
my
ready for
squatting routine to make sure I'm ready for this.
a little more cardio.
Like the cardio game's gone up a significant amount. But to be clear, while I can lift the horizontal beam, I cannot lift the vertical beam that's 12, 13 feet. We got a team of guys. We've recruited some guys in our church to help us lift this thing. I'm excited about those guys. We've been meeting, planning. They're pumped about it. And so it's just it's a lot of logistics. There's a lot of work behind the scenes, but we're really hoping it's going to be a powerful time of worship and that I don't die doing all that. So
Hopefully not. Yeah. I'm really excited about it. It's going to be a great time together.
Mm-hmm.
This is our part 2 of The Good Life. We introduced last week. This is what our podcast is, what it's going to look like. We talked about what the good life is, especially intimacy with the Father, love of the Son, dependence on the Spirit.
Right.
Kind of give me a recap of some of that, and then we'll walk into part 2.
Yeah, so last week, real simply, we just wanted to root our vision of the good life in God, not in self-sufficiency, not in reliance, actually on knowing Him, enjoying Him, looking to Him for the pattern of our lives, and then living out that pattern in dependency on the Spirit. So the intimacy with the Father, love of the Son, and dependence on the Spirit really does sum up what we hope people get in terms of what the vision of the good life is meant to be.
What threatens that for us, though, is this vision from culture, from the world, from sin that tells us, like, this is actually what the good life is.
Right.
We want to talk about that this week.
Right.
So, but first, I want to talk about idols. So if I were to tell you, Spencer, you talk about idols, idolatry, stuff like that. I don't have some golden statue in my life.
Sure.
Like, I feel like you're talking to the wrong person. Tell me what you mean when you say idols and what that looks like for us.
Right. Idols, anything you worship that's not God. Anything that you are placing in a position of God in your life is an idol. And so The reason this conversation is so important is because all of us struggle with idolatry. There's not a person on the planet that doesn't have some pull towards taking something in their life and worshiping it instead of God. And
right.
In fact, the greatest danger for many of us on the front of idolatry is elevating good gifts God's given us above Him. The danger is that we elevate gift above giver. And so the truth is, the reason there are so many counterfeit visions of the good life, and we want to get into those today, talk about what those alternate visions are. And the reason the positive vision we've given is so important is because there's a natural pull away from that vision. The natural default is for humanity to move away from it. We enter the world bowing down to idols. Even as believers, as followers of Jesus, we still struggle with that pull. And the source of that is, of course, sin. Sin is more than just things you do. Sin is a power at work in your life that grips you, forms you. I've used that illustration before of, you guys remember the dip cup thing? Yeah. Where the guy... I'll spell. Okay. So I don't mean to gross you out if you're driving or you're eating dinner or something, but like, I worked in this environment where I drank Mountain Dew, and all the guys for some reason drank these clear Mountain Dew bottles, but the guys, a lot of them dipped. One horrible day, I left my Mountain Dew bottle unprotected, and I think it was accidental, but it could have been on purpose. But the result was one of the guys that dipped spit his dip into my Mountain Dew bottle. And I remember watching like it was like slow motion as the thing went from his lip into the minute that dip spit hit that Mountain Dew, it was corrupted.
Right.
Every part of it was corrupted and messed up. So I couldn't go in there and like scoop it out. Like molecules of that dip spit got into that entire thing. That's what sin is. Sin is this corrupting power that has infiltrated every part of our lives. And so the drift to idolatry, to worship things that aren't God, is real because this power inside of us incites us to do that. It blinds us, it deceives us, it gets into every fabric of our lives, and it causes us to take the good things that God's given us and make them ultimate things. So money becomes this thing I worship instead of a thing that I use for the glory of God. Physical intimacy becomes this thing that's about me and my pleasure, my enjoyment, rather than about a gift that God's given me to enjoy. And so I think that pull is so alive and well in all of us that we can be so used to it, so surrounded by it, and not even know it. And so that's why I think calling it out, and specifically calling out some of the ways it shows up in our lives through different visions of the good life is really important.
So what you're saying is, for us, a lot of times as moral people, morally good people, we would say, we can live our lives and say, these are not bad things. The sins that we're drawn often to are good things that we've made ultimate things.
Right.
So the question for you is, how do I know when I've made something good ultimate?
Yeah, I mean, the real question for idolatry that cuts through all of it's not really an idol. It's just something I enjoy. Okay, show me what you cannot live without, and I'll show you what your idol is. So what is that thing you're like, man, if I didn't have this, I just don't think my life would be worth living. If we're honest, a lot of us would have to be honest about things like our families, or maybe even some like really important possessions to us, like a car, or in Texas, we just got to be honest about people's allegiance to their teams.
Right.
I've seen some people with shrines to teams that they really enjoy and like, that you just have to wonder, has this started to drift into some kind of like, I can't live without this reality in my life? So I think that's the question that kind of cuts through a lot of it and gives clarity for folks.
Okay, so give me an idea of what some of these visions, these counterfeit visions look like for us when it comes to culture is telling us this is totally okay. This is what the good life actually looks like.
Right. So yeah, I think that one of the first ways idolatry shows up in my life in terms of shaping what I think a good life looks like is that it causes me to live for achievement. I think achievement is one of the first ways idolatry can show up in my life in shaping what I think life is supposed to look like. So my value, according to this kind of mentality, is my achievement. The sad part about this is, in a lot of cases, people that are followers of Jesus, when they live this way, when they live for their achievements, their accomplishments, their position, their whatever, those things are really rooted in this idea that God is kind of disconnected from their lives. He's there. He's a part of their lives in some kind of nebulous, vague way, but really these achievements and what they're living for in terms of accomplishment, that's what's most important to them. So I think about what the Apostle Paul says in Ephesians when he says, "For you are saved by grace through faith, and this is not from yourselves. It is God's gift, not from works, so that no one can boast. For we are his workmanship created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared ahead of time for us to do." So this idea is, I'm not saved by what I do. I'm not acceptable to God because of what I've achieved, but boy, it is so easy to begin to think I matter in life. And the reason I have value is because of what I've achieved. One of the saddest moments for me, you guys know I'm a Michael Jordan Homer fan, whatever you want to call it.
Big Michael Jordan guy.
Is watching him on The Last Dance, that documentary, how pitiful he looked. Just the sadness of somebody who had accomplished so much, but because his body can no longer play in the NBA, there is the sense in which it's like, it's just obvious he's dissatisfied and he's not happy with his life. And even the way he talked about things was super hard for me to watch because I grew up, man, he was kind of my hero. But I think it's safe to say that he is gripped with idolatry in his heart that's led to this kind of lie of achievement in his life. So super sad, but it's true. It's true.
Give me some others. What else?
Yep.
Achievement.
Another one. This is connected to it is status. This is especially challenging for guys. I want respect because of the position I have. I want respect and recognition because of what I've accomplished, what I've done. The difference between achievement and status, the distinction I would make is achievement is just like, I really don't care what you think about me. I've accomplished this. Get out of my way. Status really does care about people telling you, people recognizing, look what you did, man, look what you accomplished. And what it really does is it roots your value in other people's opinion of yourself. And, the people pleasers out there, unite around this value, this lie. Because,
Can't relate at all.
Because, man, it is so easy to tie up a lot of your vision of what the good life is and just getting a lot of recognition and status. This does not mean that encouragement is bad or that getting recognition in and of itself is bad. I think encouragement and recognition are good. The problem is when we idolatrously elevate the gift above the giver. That's another one.
These are kind of like different sides of the same coin.
I think
like
so.
For achievement, it's like, I want to make sure that I feel like I've achieved enough. And for status, it's like, I need to make sure you feel like I've achieved enough.
You better see and if you don't, I'm going to be kind of ticked off.
Right.
I'm going to walk around feeling like I've been disrespected.
I'll go find someone else that will give me what I need.
Yes.
And recognition and the value that I so desire.
I mentioned guys, or especially, this is hard for guys, especially is that book, Love and Respect, where he talked about, women typically are more interested in love. Guys want respect. It's a little oversimplification of things, but it's probably true in a lot of regard. It's just like guys, when they feel like they're not being recognized or respected, it can uncover a lot in their hearts that's really rooted in idolatry and a false vision of the good life. Yeah. Another one is materialism. This is a huge issue in Mansfield. And this is just that my stuff is where my value is. And the number of things I have and the quality of things I have and the status that I project with my clothes or my car, the size of my house, man, that is a huge issue. I was sitting in a conference a couple weeks ago where the speaker said, all of you need to know kind of what the idols or what those counterfeit visions are that are unique to your community. There are some that are cross-cultural. I will tell you, for this part of the Metroplex and probably the larger Dallas-Fort Worth area too, materialism is a huge, huge issue. one of the signs of materialism in your life is an obsession with the new or the next. I got to have the newest thing. I got to have the next thing, the next iPhone that's coming out, the next thing, the next update. It's just this kind of like tunnel vision about stuff and people pursuing those things. The challenge with this is when you pursue that, God is just nothing more than a genie in the bottle. He's really just there to give you things, and you've really unknowingly disconnected yourself from that life-giving intimacy, love, and dependence that's found in the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Yeah. How do we escape? Like when we live in the middle of this, like this is when I look around and it's like, if you live in Mansfield, it's like, this is here. Yeah. How do we escape that as Christians who want to honor Jesus? And we also, like, we don't want to be gripped by this kind of sin, but we recognize it in our own lives if we're honest. And you say new and next, it's like, man, that's me. Like, how do we combat that, and how do we work towards the right kind of balance? Maybe balance is not even a great word.
Well, I think there's some nuance that's needed here, because I don't think working hard, being wise with your finances, means that you have to drive like a car that's about to fall apart.
Well, a hoopty.
I mean, you don't have to drive a hoopty to love Jesus.
Right.
However, I do think what materialism, the way that I'm helped by this, is by a more holistic view of my stewardship and my finances. Like, I want to embrace a vision that says, God, you really own everything that I have. And I want my first and my best to go to you and to the advancement of your kingdom. The question is not, can I afford it? Can I have it? Should I? Like, the question is, in pursuing some of those things, is it going to prohibit my ability to really invest in the kingdom? And so I think there's a lot of nuance we need, and really some Christian freedom we need to leave openness for, because I don't want to say, like I said, you got to drive a hoopty if you love Jesus. I do think some of us need to ask some hard questions about why we're pursuing some of the things we are materially.
Right.
And in doing so, if some of those things are categorically putting me in a position where I can't invest in the kingdom. So just to land the plane here, if you're so leveraged up with your house and your car payments and whatever, that you're like, giving generously to my church or giving generously to missions is just really not on the table, I think you have to ask some hard questions about whether you've bought into this vision of the good life. That materialism has become this thing that, man, now I'm just really pursuing that, and that's what I'm about, and really that's, it's actually boxed me in a corner where faithfulness to what God's called me to do and calls to generosity are just not even an option, because I'm so indebted or so stretched thin financially that I can't do it.
I've moved from a place where I'm enjoying gifts to where I'm owned by them.
They have taken over.
Yeah.
And you're actually enslaved to those things. And boy, it's hard to see that. But living here for 8 years, it's obvious that a lot of people in this community are in that kind of position.
Right.
Yeah. And it's sad.
What's the next one?
Yeah, next one, relationships. This is a vision of the good life that says the person with the most friends is the most successful, most valuable. This is the networker person. This is the person that really gives their life to just trying to be friends with everybody. Another iteration of this is the person that says, my kids are my life. I hear people say this all the time, man. And whenever I restrain myself on social media, if you say this, I promise I won't chime in and correct you. Actually, but there's a part of me that really wants to like comment and say, actually, your kids aren't your life. I know what you're trying to say, but reality is they're not your life.
Right. And
how many parents, after raising kids and launching them out, look up and go, I don't know what I'm supposed to do now. I don't know who I am. And so it's like we've said from the beginning with this, idolatry is taking good gifts and elevating them above the giver. Our children and marriage, good gifts, absolutely. They're incredible gifts that God wants us to enjoy, but we just all have to be honest. For some of us who are relational, there is a codependency, an unhealthy reliance we can begin to have on people that actually eclipse our reliance we're supposed to have on God. And so if you were to ask me, how do I know if this counterfeit vision of relationships has seeped into my soul? is it the case that you're like, man, if I don't have this person or these people around me, I can't live? I think that's a really bottom line question you have to ask about this vision.
That's good.
Another one is comfort. You can make a case. I had to come up with 6, so this is my 5th one. You can make a case that this 5th one, comfort, is a little bit of an iteration of materialism, but let me try to thread the needle here. Comfort is, I want to have an easy, no waves, kind of coasting life. Did you ever see the movie WALL-E about the little robot?
Yeah.
Future. It's worth watching because in the movie, the whole thing is humanity has gotten so comfortable, so affluent that they ride these like hovering crafts because they're so fat and they're so unable to take care of themselves that it's exaggeration. It's an extreme picture of this kind of comfort and ease that people are pursuing. This is the person that wants to get to retirement as quickly as possible just so they can have an easy life. And I think that this is the American dream for a lot of people. Like, hey, work hard, retire early, then you get to do whatever you want. Some of our listeners may be familiar with John Piper's famous "Don't Waste Your Life" sermon, where he's basically saying, don't waste your life just retiring early and collecting seashells in this boat in Florida. That's not the good life.
Right.
But boy, that vision of the good life is real. And here's what the saddest thing is about that. The truth is that this vision of the good life sees God as pretty boring. Part of the reason people go after this is because the good news of Jesus and who God claims to be as Father, Son, and Spirit is just not compelling to them. Now, I would suggest most of the people that are living for this are not followers of Jesus, but I just want to be clear. It's easy to drift in this as a follower of Christ. Hey, getting to this coasting zone where I have no worries, no cares, no pressures, no weights and responsibilities, and I can do whatever I want. That is, I think, very sadly, a vision that sees God as very boring and unengaging, and actually is a very unsatisfying way to live your life.
We've basically eliminated others from the equation too. If we're looking at comfort, we're not thinking about like me picking up seashells on the beach in Florida that doesn't affect anyone else's life. But that's exactly the point too.
It's a very self-centered, selfish life. Yes.
Because the vision of the good life from God himself would say there has to be some sort of outward expression.
Loving your neighbor as yourself.
Exactly.
It's got to be there.
Yeah.
6thly and finally is freedom. And this is one we talk about a lot at Christ Fellowship for those that are part of our church family. This is my independence and autonomy is the ultimate value of my life. And this is the lie or the counterfeit vision underneath most of our cultural moment. The vibe and culture of 2026 America is you should be able to decide what you do with your life and nobody should tell you differently. And we've so bought into this that we've extended it to gender and sexuality, and technology has now made it possible for people to do all kind of stuff in the name of autonomy, independence, and freedom. The challenge with this is in the same time that this vision has gained the most traction is the same time anxiety has skyrocketed in people's lives. And I believe that this vision of the good life is destroying people because what it's doing is it's saddling them, it's weighting them down with a vision of independence and autonomy that really they can't handle. It sounds good. Hey, you can do whatever you want. You can live however you want. You can change your gender. You can change your sexuality. But the truth is, at its core, it's putting on you a burden that really only God can carry.
Right.
He defined your gender. He defined your sexuality. He gave you life. So what is it? It's Genesis 3. When the serpent comes to Eve and says, you're not going to die. You can be like God. That's what the counterfeit vision of freedom really is. So those are 6.
Yeah.
You got achievement, you got status, materialism, relationships, comfort, and freedom.
So what's interesting to me is that all of these, most of them sound very different. We can draw some threads between a couple of them,
Sure.
but ultimately they're all saying the same thing. They're all saying my life is going to get meaning from something other than God.
That's right.
It's all going to lead us to destruction and disappointment.
That's right.
So the other issue here, Spencer, is that a lot of these things that we're talking about are respectable in our area.
That's right.
Achievement, like you're saying, achievement, family, comfort, status, these are things that on the outside look like I'm supposed like these are godly things. I'm supposed to work hard.
That's right.
I'm supposed to care for my family.
That's right.
I'm allowed to in Christian conscience and freedom to enjoy things that are good from the good gift giver. And respect is not something bad. It's not a bad thing. These are the way we ought to treat one another,
Right.
the way we should even sometimes expect to be treated.
Right.
These are not things that are sinful at first, but they creep up in our lives.
Right.
They creep up in ways that we're not expecting, and they
definitely catch us off guard.
Yes. Consume us.
Yes.
They ultimately take us all together. And so, which of these things, I'm just curious, you think is most commonplace here in Mansfield? Give me like a top 3 ranking.
Oh, man. I think
we hit materialism a lot.
Materialism has got to be in the top 3. I don't know if it's number 1, but it's in the top 3. I think achievement is up there, and I think the comfort thing is up there. I think there's a lot of people that, it's like we're all running towards this. Man, if I can just get to this place in my career, this amount of money, this whatever, things will be great. What about you? What do you think's in the top 3? I probably should have included family and relationships. That's probably...
Yeah, it's big too.
Yeah,
it's big too. And those are so intertwined. Like the way we deal with our family, we also want people to see the way we deal with our family.
Yeah.
People to like...
Our kids become a part of the status for our lives. We show them off and look at the team they're on, look at the things that they're doing. It's huge. Yeah.
It's big. Maybe another question, because I just really see them all mixed in. One of the things that we love to do here, especially as a staff, is embracing vulnerability, recognizing that we are a part of this community, and we're also part of these counterfeit visions that we often buy into. As pastors, we are not immune to, certainly not to sin,
No.
But to counterfeit visions of what a good life can be. And so, what does that look like? What does that look like for you? And answer the same question.
Yeah, I think for me personally, the lie here that I probably struggle with the most is achievement. And the really danger to my soul is that because I'm in pastoral ministry, you can weave achievement and spiritual things together so that it's very difficult to straighten out like I really do matter to God just because I'm his child. Like he really does love me for me because of his love for me in Christ. And boy, in ministry is that hard sometimes because you want to see God move and you want to see God change people's lives, but achievement for sure, far and away, is the number 1 for me. It's probably why I put it first in the list. So, what about you?
For me, Spencer, you know this about me. I'm a people pleaser. I really am. I love to achieve, but I like for others to notice that too. And so for me, it's probably relationships, but also it's status for me too. Not even necessarily that I've achieved to a certain standard, right? That people recognize, hey, this guy's a good person.
He knows what he's doing.
That's what he's doing. You're a good dad. You're a good husband. You're a good pastor. And I want people to tell me those things. And if I'm not careful, just like you said, I put a weight on people, especially my family, especially those closest to me, a weight that they're not supposed to carry.
That's right.
My identity isn't found in those things. It's found in Jesus.
Yeah.
All right. We have shared the way we struggle. We jumped into that a little bit. What do people need to take from this? What do we do next?
You know, you and I've been open about ours. I think the simple answer is for listeners is you need to know what your tendency is. What are you most prone to drift into when it comes to these counterfeits? If you don't know when you're married, you could ask your spouse. They usually have a sense of like what that looks like in your life. Or if you have teenagers, that can be a painful conversation, but you can ask your student. You think dad or mom's, you may not like the answer you hear, but it's important because part of the Christian life and the good life is a vigilance to know yourself as someone who's loved by God, but knowing yourself as a sinner saved by grace and knowing the direction your heart's pulled to. Some of that's the family structures we were raised in. Some of that's just the environment like Mansfield we're living in. Some of that's personality and bent, but there's a lot of things coming together that if somebody knows, hey, this is kind of my bent, it just keeps it from being a blind spot that people trip over a lot in their lives.
That's been a great conversation.
Yep.
Excited for all the things ahead of us, especially this weekend. We'd love to have you join us. Come to Christ Fellowship Church and join us for our Friday night cross service here for Good Friday at 6:30 p.m. And we'd also love to have you and your family and your friends and your neighbors and everybody join us together here at our church Sunday morning at 9:30 or 11 o'clock. 2 services. Excited about that. Excited about Easter, celebrating our risen Lord. So love to have you to join us. We will see you next time.
See you next time.